Madam Dean, welcome to the Waveney Valley. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So tell us, how have the last few weeks been?
Well, it is a challenge, I think, because obviously our buildings are so symbolic and not being able to go in is difficult. However, I think the most important thing that we would always say about our life together is our rhythm of prayer. That's what we're about first and foremost, is prayer and worship. And we've been able to continue that. And the way that we've done that within our chapter is to agree that every day at a particular time in the morning, particular time in the afternoon, we're all saying morning and evening prayer so that we feel in fellowship with each other. We're also continuing between us to celebrate in our own home a Eucharist. And then on a Sunday, we're all having a Eucharist. So we feel that we've got that common life and that we're able to continue our round of worship and prayer for the city, for the county, for the diocese, for the nation, the world.
There's always been a debate about our buildings and our buildings being, are they a blessing or a burden? There are a lot of people who love to tell us that the church is about people rather than the building. But there's no Norwich Cathedral without those bricks and mortar.
First of all, church is about the people. The church is the people. But I don't think we can get away from the fact that we have our buildings and they've become very much part of people. And people have such close associations with them because because important things have happened there and continue to happen there. So in a place like Norwich, the cathedral itself is so symbolic. And so, it's used by so many people as their logo for a start. It's just there as part of the community. So for me, it needs to be like that. And it's just integrated with what we are. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, people do come first.
Jane, today's gospel is the Good Shepherd from John 10. And is there anything that leaps off the page at you that didn't back in February or before?
As I looked at the passage for this week, it was the going out and the coming in. And of course, that there is that balance in our lives about, needing to come in and recharge our batteries and be in the fold, as it were. And then the going out and being amongst people and serving people and, engaging with the wider issues of our society. So, and I suppose what I find, because I'm an extrovert person, I like to be out and about with people. One of the things I've learned about myself is I'm not good at not being around people. Yeah, just to add to that as well, because Jesus talked about having life in all its fullness, life abundant life. And I think actually for me, the abundant life is having both those components. They both need to be there.
What have the last few weeks taught you about Christian leadership?
I think it's taught me that people do look to us for leadership. And I think one of the things that's been incredibly humbling, really, as I've talked to the people in our community who've been in touch and said, "Oh, we really value what you're doing." I mean, a lot of the time I felt fairly useless, to be honest. I think that, I felt, gosh, what have we got to contribute at the moment when there are other people out there doing these fantastic jobs in the NHS, or, people that are still working in our shops and delivering all the kind of essential services, that somehow it feels as if we've kind of lost that, really. So it has been really important, I think, to be able to be connecting with people so that we know what they value and what they need. And I think for me it's an important thing for all of us to learn as leaders about, listening to what people need and recognizing that people's needs are very different and that we need to respond differently to different people.
Jane, you've always been, as far as I recall, a great advocate of pilgrimage. I'm wondering whether in a revised lockdown, whether a fruitful way of expressing our faith and our worship of God might involve something to do with pilgrimage. After all, a lot of it does occur outdoors.
Yeah, because one of the things that we've been exploring a great deal in Norwich is some of the pilgrim routes through Norfolk. And particularly looking towards the shrine at Walsingham. So there's been a lot of cooperation between church people and other people that have been looking at environmental issues. And so I do think, I think that's something we should be looking at, is actually how we might use the outdoors rather more than perhaps we do at the moment.
Any bits of scripture that keep nagging at you in this situation? Something that gives you extra nourishment, or something that's become more puzzling?
Just a recent staff meeting, we were looking at another passage from John's Gospel, Nicodemus coming to Jesus. And there's one of the lines in there about the wind blows where it wills, and that was a line that really leapt out to me from that passage, that actually reminds us that we as human beings are not absolutely in control of things. And I think one of the things, again, we've learned through this pandemic is that we are vulnerable. We're vulnerable, and we are mortal, and that we do need to recognise our ultimate dependence upon God.
Jane, the fallout from COVID-19 could be really awful, but there are, aren't there? We all comment on the signs of blessings and goodness in the midst of it. You've mentioned one or two yourself. What good do you hope might come out of this?
Well, I think one of the fantastic things that's come out of it is actually people, I think, really rediscovering community, and how important the community around us is in our lives, and the way that people have really come up trumps in looking out for vulnerable people, and the fantastic response there was when they asked for volunteers. So much of that's been really heartwarming, and the way that people have been so kind to one another. So I really, really hope that we're going to be able to capture that and take it forward into the future. There's been so many things in life that we've simply taken for granted, and we shouldn't. We should appreciate them. We should appreciate people, and we should appreciate the gift of life and the gifts that life brings. So all of those things, really, I think we need to nurture and take forward into the future.
Amen, sister. Amen. Jane, there are any number of things I miss about worshipping in church. One is singing hymns. Considering what we're going through, bearing that in mind, which hymn do you look forward to singing in particular?
Well, it's interesting that you're asking that question, because one of the things we have been able to do in the close is still to sing some hymns, because our organist on a Sunday morning, he started this on Palm Sunday, opened his windows and played, but we all went out to our gates and we joined in, and then we did it again on Easter Day. Well, we've been doing it ever since, and of course we've been singing the Easter hymns. So Thine be the glory, Jesus Christ is risen today, the day of resurrection, this last Sunday, love's redeeming work is done. And so I really do love the Easter hymns. I'm terribly missing the great big acts of worship, and Easter Sunday was quite difficult, really, but nevertheless we have had a chance to do a bit of singing, and it's been very moving and wonderful just to see people gathering and singing at their gate.
Jane, which bit of the cathedral do you miss?
We gather every morning in the choir. We sit in our stalls to say morning prayer, and then of course we're back in the choir in the evening with the choir, usually for a choral evening song. So I guess that being able to go back into that bit of the cathedral is going to be very special. But if I'm honest, there's so many bits of the cathedral I really, really love. It's always difficult to say which bit I miss most. I mean, I just love standing at the back of the cathedral and looking up through the nave and looking up at our vaulted ceiling, and it's so beautiful.
During this time, on a lighter note, what I really miss is going to the seaside for a walk along the beach with my family. Where in East Anglia do you look forward to returning to for an afternoon with your family?
I mean, we love lots of walks in Norfolk, but we love the beaches. One of our really favourite beach is probably Holcombe. That's a bit further away from Norwich, but we also love Winterton and Sea Polling. I think we're so blessed with our beaches. So yeah, we shall look forward to returning to the beach.
Listen, you can tell from looking at me and the length of my hair that I'm missing a barber at this time. What sort of other creature comforts or food do you
right
miss?
Okay,
what do you look forward to?
Well, that's interesting about your hair. I cut my own hair on Saturday.
Oh, it looks great.
So I thought I got so desperate, I'm going to have to do something about it. Yeah, one of my great creature comforts is probably my greatest creature comfort is chocolate, and there's been no shortage of chocolate, of course, has there?
Jane, listen, our very best wishes to you, to your colleagues, to your family, and to all staff at the Cathedral. We shall pray for you, and I bid you might also remember us in Bungay and Barsham and Mettingham in yours. Thank you very much for your time today, and the peace of the Lord be always with you.
And also with you, and all yours too. Thank you very much, Daniel. That's fantastic.